Who doesn't love music? We all do, right? In fact, can you think of any festival, function or party without music? No? And what if you could get some live music from one of the very best musicians? Even better. Well, this is the story of one such little musician, a boy named Raghav in a remote Tamilnadu village in India. He used to play melodious, fabulous music on his flute. He was so much in demand by all the villagers. They would ask him to play them a lovely piece of music whenever there was a festival or happy occasion. As such, he kept the flute close to him all times. His flute and music were his life. But how his life gets upturned when one day, as he is trying to cross a stream, his flute comes loose off his belt, falls on the rocks and smashes to pieces. What next? What lies for him ahead now that he doesn't have his flute anymore? I've got to make a flute somehow, a new one, thought Raghav as he desperately went in search of a good bamboo tree. He hardly had time to mourn the loss of his old flute. There were so many happy occasions just around the corner and the villagers would call for him. But what would he do without a flute? And no, just any flute wouldn't do. Raghav always made his own flute in his own skillful manner, and he would never compromise on his music. And because he wouldn't compromise on his music, he wouldn't compromise on the quality of the bamboo from which he made his flute. So, searching for that perfect bamboo tree wasn't easy. Raghav searched in so many different places but couldn't find one. He goes farther and farther away from the village and voila! He finds just the right sort of bamboo inside the woods in a very secluded, lonely spot. There was no one around there. Not even birds could be heard in that place. Raghav went over to the bamboo tree, took out his knife, cut out a good piece of bamboo and carved out a beautiful looking flute. Now he was relieved. No worries if someone happened to call him to play music. In a few days, it so happens that there is a grand wedding in the village. And no surprises, Raghav gets called to play his flute on the happy occasion. After all the ceremonies were done, it's time for dance and rejoicing, and Raghav lifts his new flute to his lips and starts playing. What kind of music do you figure comes out? Sad, morose, depressing music fills the air. The music is so sorrowful that one by one everyone starts crying, and soon the newly wedded bride and bridegroom are also crying. Tears flowing, the bride's father approaches Raghav and pleads with him to stop playing the flute. Raghav is baffled. He doesn't understand what happened to his once lovely, gleeful music. The bride's father says, "Whatever's gotten into you, Raghav? Why would you play such sad music on a happy occasion like this? You made everyone cry. Please stop. Don't play anymore. Sad and confused, Raghav leaves the place. People soon start talking about what happened at the wedding, and now nearly half the village is wary about calling upon Raghav again. Raghav throws away the new flute and goes once again in search of another bamboo tree. This time, he finds a suitable looking tree just a stone's throw away from the village well. Raghav goes to the tree, cuts off a piece of bamboo, sits right there beside the well and gets ready to carve out the new flute. Soon as he is carving out the flute, the place is filled with loud talks and clanking of pots. The women of the village have come to draw water from the well. Soon enough, Raghav hears not just talking and clanking, but also complaining, cribbing, arguments, fights, along with angry, impatient banging of the pots. I came to draw the water first. I came to the well first. My pot wasn't even filled before you drew it up. You spilled water from my pot. Now you draw it up again for me. You shoved me, you buffalo. How dare you? Yak, 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 yak. Oof! Raghav's head began to throb and he felt any time soon his ears would start bleeding. He soon carved out his flute and got away from the place. After a couple of days, the village headman felt sorry for Raghav because of his last fiasco, and he invited him to come and play his flute on his 80th birthday bash. Raghav was happy to be invited, but nervous all the same. The entire village had gathered at the headman's big house, and a lot of snacks and sweets were being sent out. Soon it was evening and they all built a big bonfire and decided to have some music and dancing around the fire. Time for Raghav to play his flute. Taking a deep breath, Raghav put the new flute to his lips and started playing. Oh my God, what is that? Oh dear, is the world coming to an end? Oh no, I can't take this anymore. Someone, please stop him. That was the reaction of the people to the music, or should I say, noise and utter chaos that came out of Raghav's flute. It angered and irritated people to the core, and they felt that if Raghav did not stop soon, they would start hitting each other or break someone's head. The village headman came to Raghav with perspiration on his brow and pulled at Raghav's hand and said, "Stop, Raghav, stop. In the name of God, stop. Just what is this? What has happened to your music? I am afraid you will have to give up your flute and music completely if this continues." Raghav left the headman's house on the verge of tears. He threw his flute angrily into a ditch and almost vowed that he would never play again, and that true music had probably unfortunately left him, and he didn't know how to get his music back. More days went by and more people seemed to avoid Raghav now. But one day, the village priest comes to Raghav and says, "Have faith, son. Don't forget you were always the best musician in the village. Don't lose hope just because things did not work for you a couple of times. Don't give up as yet. I am sure you have wonderful music in you. Come on, buck up, son. I need you to find yourself and your music again. As a matter of fact, I have my grandchild's naming ceremony coming up next week. It would be lovely if you could join us with your flute and music." Saying this, the kindly priest left Raghav to gather himself and his thoughts. Mustering courage, Raghav finally set off yet again in search of a bamboo tree, probably for the last time. And this time he found one bamboo tree, a suitable one, on the far side of the huge village playground. There was no one around. Good, Raghav thought. I'll have some peace and privacy. He cut the bamboo and started working feverishly with full concentration on the flute. So immersed he was in making the flute that he did not notice that the playground behind him was filling up with kids of all ages. Running, playing, laughing, gleefully shrieking, enthusiastically shouting, and so on. After finishing the flute, Raghav turned around to see so many kids at the place. But he was in no mood to face them, let alone join them in the play. And he goes away silently to his home. The week goes by and the next week arrives. It is the naming ceremony of the priest's grandson. When Raghav arrives at the priest's house, the people there go silent and watch Raghav in apprehension. They don't know what to expect of him anymore. Seeing Raghav so uncomfortable and vulnerable, the priest comes forward, takes Raghav's hand and leads him inside to meet his grandson, who is a little chubby baby. But the baby's face has turned purple from crying and howling since morning. The poor baby continued to whimper, and it looked like nothing would go worse for him. The priest leaned over to Raghav and said, "Try playing your flute. Let's see if that gets the interest of the baby." Taking a very deep breath and preparing himself for the worst, Raghav begins to play his flute. And what do you think happens? Stunningly lovely music comes forth like the twinkling of stars, like the blooming of flowers, like a cool and gentle caressing breeze. The baby stops crying and starts smiling and cooing instead. People stand mesmerized by such sweet tunes. Yes, Raghav had found his music again. Not in the dark, lonely woods, not at the noisy village well, but amidst the joyful laughter of children in the playground.